through the beauty of the IDF and their diligence, Jerusalem, our ancient holy land, our ancient holy city, our ancient holy capital, was reunified. And so the piece that we just heard in our ancient homeland. Let us take a deep breath. We are at the end of 1 month and soon to be into the month of Sivan. We'll talk more about that later. We are at the beginning this week of a new Parsha, a new book of the Torah, a book of Bamidbar. And so we have beginnings and endings of all sorts on the Shabbat. But let us end the week together and renew and refresh our spirits. Page 634, Ma Yafeh Hayom, how beautiful is the Sabbath day. Rabbi Levy. To light our Sabbath candles, page 120 and 121 in your prayer book. Let's turn the mic on. These two. Yeah, he'll make sure it's on. No, maybe. Press of the green.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner v'tzivanu Shabbat. Blessed are you who commands us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Shane, if you'll lift the Kiddush cup on high, we'll turn to page 123 as we sanctify the wine and the Sabbath.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim. L'chaim, thank you for helping us usher Shabbat into our space. We join together at the bottom of page 127 in prayer. Together, we offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope. For Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living. For Shabbat memories glowing even in the darkness. For Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Let us welcome the Shabbat as we turn to sing and pray L'chadodi, the words of welcoming the beloved Sabbath, page 138. We'll be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Yalla la 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 l'chadodi, yalla la 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 l'krat kala, yalla la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, yalla la 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 l'chadodi, yalla la 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 l'krat kala, yalla la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad yishmi'anu Elohei yuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemo tiferet v'nei tefillah. Yalla la 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 l'chadodi, yalla la 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 l'krat kala, yalla la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, yalla la 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 l'chadodi, yalla la 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 l'krat kala, yalla la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor ha'veracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Yalla la 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 l'chadodi, yalla la 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 l'krat kala, yalla la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, yalla la 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 l'chadodi, yalla la 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 l'krat kala, yalla la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat. Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri. 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 Kiva oref. Riuri. Riuri. Shidaberi. Kevod Adonai alaich nigla. Yalalai, yalalai l'chadodi. Yalalai l'krat kala. Yalalai b'nei Shabbat. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yalalai l'chadodi. Yalalai l'krat kala. Yalalai b'nei Shabbat. B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We face at the entrance as we welcome the Sabbath into our midst.
Sham
B'yaboi v'shalom,
Ateret bala. Gam besimcha v'tzola. Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Yalalai, yalalai l'chadodi. Yalalai l'krat kala. Yalalai b'nei Shabbat. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yalalai l'chadodi. Yalalai l'krat kala. Yalalai b'nei Shabbat. B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Let's wish one another good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom. To those here, introduce yourself if you don't know the names of the people with you. Shabbat Shalom to everybody at home, watching and participating from where you are. We're so glad you're with us.
Yes, also Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Ronnie, if you're watching.
We remain standing, turning to page 146 for the call to worship.
Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai. Turn to page 147 as we pray together at the bottom of the page. O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. And though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. O let our desire be so strong
that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight.
Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence. And as we seek to remove these veils, we also recognize the veils that come through over the course of time. And so we continue praying together at the bottom of page 149. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. We now rise together as we turn to page 152 for our declaration of unity and oneness, the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Vayed. Please be seated.
Page 154, we join together in the Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Now, those of you that know me know that I am a baseball fan. Much to Rabbi Levy's chagrin, he is a football fan, American football fan, and doesn't have much time for baseball. But this week, I didn't want to have much time for the Dodgers. And the reason I didn't want to have much time for our beloved Dodgers is because of how they behaved this week. In an effort to celebrate Pride Night, which they've been doing successfully for a number of years, but I never get to go because it's always on a Friday night. And some of you never got to go because it's always on a Friday night. The Dodgers have been their inclusive and wonderful self by including the LGBT baseball fans in the celebration of not only of Pride Month, but in, for some of us, our love of America's pastime, baseball. But this week, I'm ashamed of our Dodgers. I'm ashamed that on the one hand, they issued a welcome and a celebration of Pride Night by honoring a number of organizations within our LGBTQ community here in Los Angeles for their good works with Community Hero Awards. And not several hours later, they rescinded the invitation to the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Now, Why? Because conservative Catholics flooded their office saying that the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, who dress up as nuns and using drag and street theater, bring attention to some of the hypocrisies that religion often brings around LGBTQ issues. But more importantly, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence are committed to bringing joy and rejoicing in a community that often doesn't get to rejoice. More importantly, when the sisters got started, it was the time of great darkness and death in our community. And they brought a joie de vivre and an opportunity to raise money for many charitable acts. Think Kiwanis or Rotary Club. This is our version with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And how dare the Dodgers cave to forces that are not part of our city of Los Angeles, that's known to be a city of welcome and inclusion. The baseball team that broke the color barrier. The baseball team that had the most famous Jewish pitcher on the mound ever, Sandy Koufax, who brought in the Latino community with Fernando Valenzuela in a way that the Latino community had not been brought into baseball. Our Dodgers did those things. And now it's time for atoning. They must atone for the sin of exclusion. And so I pray that as we are here and about to celebrate Pride together, it's time to hold them accountable for their actions. And maybe some of you will do what I did yesterday and made a tzedakah donation to the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, both here and in the San Francisco chapter, so they can continue their good works of helping our community. Let us cross into freedom with the words of Mi Chamocha, page 158. Mi Chamocha.
Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai la lai lai la 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha netar b'kodesh. Nora tehi lo tosei v'eleh, nora tehi lo tosei v'eleh. Malchutecha ra'u v'necha, bokei Miriam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'elianu ve'amu, ze'elianu ve'ameru. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai la lai lai ya la lai lai lai. V'ne'emar ki bad Adonai et Yaakov galo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Amen.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'amidenu shomreinu lechaim mashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'amidenu shomreinu lechaim ushmor tzeiteinu Shalom me'ata ve'ad olam Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
Would you join me in prayer on 162, the bottom of the page? Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. We rise together now for the tefillah, page 164. We'll begin together and then invite you, as is our custom, to continue silently with the words of your own heart, the words of tradition on the right-hand page, the words of inspiration on the left-hand page, through 181.
Adonai Satai Tiftach Adonai Satai Tiftach Ufi Agin Tehilatecha Ufi Agin Tehilatecha Adonai Satai Tiftach Adonai Satai Tiftach Ufi Agin Tehilatecha Ufi Agin Tehilatecha. join back together on page 180, but if you are still praying, please continue. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי ויום ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי May the words of my heart, and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Yehu leratzon Imrei fi ve'yon libi lefanecha. With our prayers still resonating within our hearts and our souls, we now think of those who may be in healing at this time, whether that be healing of mind, healing of body, or healing of spirit. In the Shabbat, we're thinking of John Altschul, Aaron Aronow, Gary Ashland, Stephen Baird, Ricky Bander, Marion Barak, Esther Baum, Michael Becker, Sophie Bellsberg, Roberta Bennett, Lisa Bird, Elaine Blatt, Louise Cantrell, Wayne Cantrell, Amy Chadwick, Bill Cohn, Bertha Coleman, Michael Dyer, Tina Felipe, Bernie Goldstein, Robert Greenberg, Addie Lelyveld, Ronnie Levy, Chava Bat Rafaelva Esther Rachel, Jeff Mackler, Peter Mackler, Larry Mendelson, Yat Nachowitz, Zachary Pierce, Vitaly Popov, Tammy Rabowski, Keith Rand, Ben Reback, Arlene Regan, Ivan Rosenberg, Richard Ross, Myrna Salzberg, Lowell Selvin, Miles Sen, Karen Shanbrom, Luann Snyder, Henry Sommerfeld, Travis Terry, David Soriel, Stephen Valentino, David Ben Herschel Vibasha, Adam Weisbart, Philip Windsor, Eitan Wolf, and Doug Workman. To these names, we add those of your loved ones. If there's anyone you're thinking of and you'd like to share their name aloud, please do so at this time. And those of you joining us online, I encourage you to share the names of your loved ones in the chat. We now offer prayers for strength and for courage, even as we know that healing is not always in sight. We know that when we are with our loved ones, that they can make it yet another step towards that journey. So we turn to page 371, Mishe Berach. Mishe Berach Avoteinu Mechor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imoteinu Mekor HaBracha Lavoteinu. us those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us sing Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Let me get all of this. Well, I have a confession to make. I've been reintroduced to the wonders and joys of Sesame Street. When Sesame Street appeared in the late 60s, I was already a little bit too old to be a part of its target audience at almost 10. But since November of 1969, Sesame Street and all of its myriads of characters has been teaching little ones to spell and to count, to be curious, to learn, and to welcome a variety of kinds of people through both human and animal and imaginary beings like Oscar the Grouch and Big Bird, Grover and Elmo. I've been watching my niece gaze with wonder at 18 months, as it is the first television show she has been allowed to watch. But boy, is she crazy for that furry red Elmo. Now, one of my very favorite characters didn't appear until season 4 in 1972. That is Count Von Count. It's meant to be a parody of Bela Lugosi's portrayal of Count Dracula. He first appeared on the show in a sketch with the good old Bert and Ernie counting blocks. And he will count anything that count. Blocks, people, batty bats, and animals. And this time of year in the Jewish calendar was made for Count Von Count. We are still counting our days at the season of Sfirat HaOmer. The counting of the Omer now is winding down. Next Thursday night, of course, we will stand once again at Mount Sinai, arriving at that holy, holy moment of reenacting our covenant with God. We will reaffirm it at Shavuot, Zman Toratenu, the season of giving of our Torah. And the 10 Commandments we will hear once again. And after 50 days of all of this counting, marking time from Pesach until Shavuot. And this week's Parsha, Bamidbar, begins, funny enough, with counting. In English, we even titled the Book of Numbers. Even though the Hebrew name doesn't relate to that, it's called Bamidbar, and means in the wilderness, because it tells the story of our people's wandering through the desert towards the promised land. 37 years of that, a generation and a half later. But let's go back to Count Von Count. He would be in his glory in this week's Parsha, counting the tribes, the members, its leaders, and hence the name of our English book of the Bible. The opening verses tell us that Moses and Aaron and the leaders of each tribe, whose names are actually still recorded in this week's Parsha, tell us exactly the number of registered men in each tribe. For example, the tribe of Reuben had 46,500. Simeon, 59,300. Gad, not God, God, G-A-D, 45,650, and so on throughout the 12 tribes until we get to the total number of registered men of 603,550. And so now you know why we often hear the phrase that there were 600,000 people who stood at Sinai, because we have this count here in the book of Numbers. Now, it's important to realize that this number does not include the tribe of Levi, and the text is very clear about teaching us that. Because, of course, the Levites, they were our priesthood, and they had other duties related to the tabernacle in the desert, which we'll get to in a minute. But this counting is only of the men. It's a census of males over age 20. And it will be a reckoning of those that could be actually part and would become part of the fighting force. So in some ways, this number is like the draft, that we were making sure of who was registered for the draft. But this is also how the children of Israel and Moses and Aaron and the tribal leaders begin to organize to ensure their safety from attack and to protect the people and, yes, God's holy tabernacle, which actually, in this week's Torah portion, was in the center of the camp. And the different groups, the different troops, the different tribes were set up in a specific order around the tabernacle. Interestingly enough, our Jewish tradition, we're told that we are not to count Jews. Now, how could this be? Our Torah portion says that Moses and Aaron counted the Jews. But our tradition says no counting Jews. If you've ever been in a minyan and they needed to make sure they had enough, right, of 10 Jews for certain prayers, Baruch Hu, Kaddish, Torah reading, we need to count to make sure that we have 10. And we do it by not counting. So oftentimes people will say, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Or they'll use a verse from the book of Psalms, Psalm 28, verse 9, and they will, in Hebrew, give each person one of the words, Hoshia et amecha, uvarach et nachalatecha, ureim nasim et ha'olam, which has exactly 10 words. Now, that verse means in English, save your people and bless your inheritance and tend to them and elevate them forever. Now, more than that number of 10 in English. Now, our medieval rabbi and Bible commentator, Bachia ben Asher, from Zaragoza, Spain, he lived from 1255 to 1340, explained that we don't count separate individuals in Judaism since we don't want to single anyone out and bring judgment upon them. In other words, it's a bit of sensitivity. According to him, an individual may not have enough merit on their own. And however, counting in a community, as a community, even if a judgment would be brought to a person there, there's enough good, righteous deeds sprinkled throughout everyone else to ensure that we're all granted God's compassion and mercy. Now, you all know this already, because at Yom Kippur, we've talked about why do we pray in the plural, al chet shechatanu lifanecha. We have sinned before you. Why? We know that. We say that because we don't want to shame or embarrass any individual who might have committed a particular sin on that long list, on the long vidui that we go through. There are enough righteous people and deeds and acts that have been performed that would cancel out any judgment or punishment. In other words, the collective matters here. And if all of this not counting is confusing, we see from the passage in the book of Exodus in Parshat Ki Tisa that it says this: when you will take a census of the Israelite men according to their army enrollments, each shall pay to Adonai a ransom for himself on being enrolled, that no plague may come upon them through their being enrolled. This is what everyone who is entered in the record shall pay, half a shekel by the sanctuary weight. Everyone who is entered in the records from age 20 and up shall give Adonai's offering. So they didn't count people, but they counted the money. Those of you that like to be treasurers in organizations, there's a special place for you in heaven. It's our sages. This is how our sages grapple with the text. They're trying to take conflicting passages in the Torah and try and make sense of it in real life. But I think this week's Parsha reminds us of something more profound, that there are moments in all of our lives when we must take account. We human beings organize ourselves through understanding our strength in numbers. We are reminded by our Parsha of the power of the tradition of not only counting individuals, but we are vesting our power and purpose in community. What a radical idea for the times that we live in. In the secular world, it's all about the individual. Your brand, your style, your ideas, the autonomous self. We see this in the way our society is set up, in our public discourse, in our political discourse. Judaism doesn't negate the individual or our individual responsibilities, but it enumerates them and has expectations of each of us. But our system of beliefs in Judaism, our ethics, our values, invests in and puts the emphasis on the community, the kehillah, the collective. And our Parsha is trying to teach us that our future is not carved out by being a rugged individualist, but it is through our tribe, through our people, through our covenantal promise of community. We count, each of us counts, as part and parcel of a sacred community. And your participation is critical to the success of the Jewish people. If you remove yourself, you weaken the whole, and we are not the same without you. This can be true for our synagogue as well, which today is the keeper of community. We learn from the Talmud, from Pirkei Avot, Al tifrosh min hatzibor, do not separate yourself from the community. Why? Because each person matters. Each person makes a difference. Each person helps their neighbor, make a minyan, say Kaddish, gives strength when they are weak, and gives you strength when you are weak and when you have nothing left to give. This is the lesson of the counting in Bimidbar. When times get tough or things change, and times do get tough, you need to show up and be counted more than ever before. If you've thought about leaving Kol Ami with all of the changes ahead of us, I'm telling you, don't. Stand up and be counted. Be accountable to your fellow congregants and be accountable to God. And then we can say together, like Joshua, who did lead the people into the promised land, Chazak ve'amatz, be strong and resolute, and do not be afraid or dismayed, for Adonai, your God, is with you wherever you go. Ken yehi ratzon, so may it be God's will. It's my privilege and honor to invite my friend and board member, Yafa Hughes, forward to share some important words with you. Yafa?
Thank you, my friend. Good evening. I'm Yafa Hughes, a member of the Board of Trustees, and so on behalf of Kol Ami, we all want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. And as always, thank you to Travis for our audio and video, and also Dr. Aline Melek Adamyan. Okay. For her lovely piano. Tomorrow morning, May 20, Rabbi Egger's final Torah study class will meet at 10 a.m. online. Don't miss this. On Saturday, May 21st, from noon to 2, in person here at the temple, Kol Ami members will have an opportunity to meet our incoming interim rabbi, Barry Lutz. Please join us for a bagel brunch and a chance to meet, greet, learn from, and sing with Rabbi Lutz. While he doesn't officially start until July, we hope you take this opportunity to build a relationship with him as we move toward our congregation's next chapter together. Kadima. Shabbat is coming. Thursday night, May 25th at 7 p.m. Join Rabbi Egger, Rabbi Levy, Rabbi Lutz, and student Rabbi Frankie Salzman. They're all coming out for us for our Shabbat online only. Observance and study. Each rabbi will prepare a short teaching, and we will learn together as is the custom on Shabbat. We will light candles together and prepare to receive the 10 Commandments. Yisker will be online with Temple Israel the next morning at 9 a.m. You can sign up for both online. It is a season of transitions for us. Let us all turn out in person on Friday night, May 26th, to celebrate Rabbi Levy before he leaves for his new position in Memphis with a special musical service and oneg. You can sign up to be a sponsor of this special evening on our website. And then on June 16th through 17th, we will celebrate Rabbi Ager as she becomes our Rabbi Emerita with a special service on Friday, June 16th. Also, another opportunity for you to be a sponsor for the Friday night celebration. You can also do so on our website. Rabbi Levy will lead another Shabbat Holiness hike on Saturday, March 27 at 10 a.m. Watch the Ikalenu for the location. There are still seats available for our gala. If perhaps you are wanting to attend, call the office and could just contact Deborah Servi. There are also opportunities to volunteer at the gala. So if you're interested, just let me know, Janine, or just call the office that you'd like to come and volunteer at the gala to make sure it's successful. As always, we hope you keep up to date on all that is happening at Congregation Kol Ami by visiting our website often at kol-ami.org. That's kol-ami.org. And while you're visiting our website, please consider a donation to our synagogue to support the holy work that we do all year long. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We turn to page 570 in your prayer book. As I mentioned in my sermon, we're continuing to count the days between Pesach and Shavuot. Would you stand, please, as we count the Omer together, page 570.
We read together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom arba'im v'arba yom shehem shisha shavuot u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today is the 44th day of the Omer. Amen. We say together, Amen. And
379, because tomorrow is a special day, and we'll recite together the blessing for Rosh Chodesh. 379.
Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. Together, our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Sivan yeh b'yom rishon, yeh machar. The new month of Sivan will begin on Sunday.
Amen. Page 586, we remain standing for Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Aleinu L'Shabeach La'adon HaKol, La'tet Gedula Le'otzeh Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoye HaRatzot, Ve'lo Samanu K'mishpechot HaAdama, Shelo Sam Chelkeinu Kahem, Ve'goraleinu Kechol Hamonam, Va'anachnu Kor'im, U'nishtachavim U'modim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol ha'aretz, Bayom Ahu, Yeh Adonai Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Elfad.
On this Shabbat, we're observing the yahrzeits of Richard Frank, member of our congregation and friend of Jane and Lisa Drucker and Lisa Freed, Leo Swartz, grandfather of Lauren Ostro, Larry Steinman, relative of Stephen Steinman, Jesse Daniel Hughes, father of Yaffa Hughes, Lorraine Cohen, mother of Elise Resch, Samuel Gochin, grandfather of Grant Gochin, Lloyd John Ogilvie, father of Andrew Ogilvie, Menaja Sarah Harunian, mother of Joseph Harunian, Drew Sylvan, friend of Marianne Lowenthal, Rose Doctor, friend of Congregation Kol Ami, Hannah Ralder, grandmother of Steve Wertowski, and Nathan Rosenblum, father of Glenn Rosenblum, whose yahrzeit plaques are lit in loving remembrance. We're also recalling Janet Silverstein, aunt of Marianne Lowenthal, Marvin Schultz, father of Herb Schultz, Jerry Miles, uncle of Lowell Selvin and Hillary Selvin, Dave Hall, brother-in-law of Daniel Blatt, Tom Glick, father of Natalie Bergman, and Henry Melnick, father of Glenn Melnick, Irene Glick, grandmother of Natalie Bergman, and Dorothy Kern Golden, grandmother of Mark Freeman, whose yahrzeits also occur in the week ahead. And we're remembering and saying Kaddish for those who've died in the past year: Lou Vicinelli, Howard Romanoff, Greg Sonkin, Ruth Forster, Reba Goldman, Michael Simmental, Victor Escobar, Alvin Gross, Ernie Benson, Kathy Weiss, Ellen Mensner, Janice Hooten Levi, Anton Malley, Josh Kaplan, Don Hollis, Jason Thomas Lodge, Elaine Cohn, Maeve Eisenberg, Barton Kogan, Dabby Blatt, Stephen Shapiro, Carol Rosenthal, Marilyn Horvitz, Murray Blank, Steve Hochstein, Ernie Sosnick, Stephen Wright, Scott Magid, Gloria Brown, Rosina Spitzer, Lizzie Taylor, Jamie Hornback, David Bird, Fran Shanbrom, Louis Silverman, Patricia Rudolph, Harriet Stein, David Bordetsky, Vivian Bernard, and Latrice Bloom. There are others that you would like to remember for our Kaddish prayer if you'd say their name aloud. Those of you at home, if you want to say a name aloud of a loved one to remember, we remain standing, comforting each other with the words of Kaddish, page 598, and remembering all those who have no one who to say Kaddish for them. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach yutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kari v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach leolam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah barichu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbakata v'nechamata, damiran b'yalma v'yamru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. May the one who teaches peace in the heavens above help us make peace here on earth with one another and grant eternal peace to those who've died. Together we say, amen. Please be seated. Our closing song is Oseh Shalom tonight. The words are at the bottom of 598.
Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל...
We make motzi here together, so we can invite you to the oneg afterwards. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And we say from the book of Psalm, from Psalm 90, says, teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. May this Shabbat help you to slow down, to take a beat, to give thanks for and count your many blessings. And may God bless you with the gift of shalom. Shabbat shalom. Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbat shalom online.